Previously, Jesus received word that his friend Lazarus was sick. He waited 2 days before traveling to Bethany, arriving 4 days after Lazarus had died. Martha met him on the road and confessed her faith even in grief. Jesus wept at the tomb. Then he called out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" And the dead man emerged, still wrapped in burial cloths. Many believed, but others reported to the Pharisees, and from that day on the religious leaders plotted to kill Jesus. Now the journey to Jerusalem reaches its climax as Jesus enters the holy city. 6 days before Passover, Jesus returns to Bethany. The village buzzes with excitement. Lazarus is alive. The man who was dead for 4 days now sits at table with Jesus. The news has spread everywhere. Crowds gather not only to see Jesus, but to see the living proof of his power. Mary takes a pound of pure nard, an expensive perfume worth a year's wages, and anoints Jesus' feet. She wipes them with her hair. The fragrance fills the house. Judas Iscariot objects. Why was this perfume not sold and the money given to the poor? John tells us that Judas did not say this because he cared about the poor. He was a thief. He managed the money bag and helped himself to what was put into it. Jesus defends Mary. Leave her alone. It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. The anointing is prophetic. Mary does not fully understand what she is doing, but Jesus recognizes it. His body is being prepared for burial. The shadow of the cross falls across the dinner table. The chief priests make plans to kill Lazarus as well. His resurrection is drawing too many people to faith in Jesus. They want to bury the evidence. The next day, Jesus approaches Jerusalem. The Passover crowd has swelled the city's population. Pilgrims from every corner of the Jewish world have come to remember the Exodus, to sacrifice lambs, to celebrate deliverance. They have heard about Lazarus. They have heard about Jesus. And when word spreads that he is coming, they rush out to meet him. Jesus sends 2 disciples ahead. Go to the village ahead of you, and at once you will find a donkey tied there, with her colt by her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needs them, and he will send them right away. The instructions are specific. Jesus is not wandering into Jerusalem, he is staging an entrance. The disciples find everything as he described. They bring the donkey and the colt, place their cloaks on them, and Jesus sits on them. The choice of animal is deliberate. A king coming in war rides a horse. A king coming in peace rides a donkey. The prophet Zechariah wrote centuries before. Rejoice greatly, daughter Zion. Shout, daughter Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt the foal of a donkey. Jesus is declaring who he is, not with words but with fulfillment. The ancient prophecy is being enacted in real time. The crowd catches the meaning. A very large crowd spreads their cloaks on the road. Others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the path. It is the treatment given to a conquering king. The shouts begin. Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven. Hosanna means save us. It is a prayer and a praise wrapped together. Son of David is a messianic title. The crowd is proclaiming Jesus as the long-awaited king. But the crowd's expectations and Jesus' intent are not the same. They expect a political liberator who will drive out Rome and restore Israel's earthly glory. Jesus is riding toward a cross. They are shouting for a conqueror. He has come to die. The gap between what they want and what he knows must happen will widen with every passing day. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Blessed is the King of Israel. The cries echo off the walls. The palm branches wave like victory banners. The road becomes a carpet of cloaks and greenery. Jesus rides through this adulation toward the gates of Jerusalem. Some Pharisees in the crowd are horrified. Teacher, rebuke your disciples. They want Jesus to silence the crowd, to reject the titles, to deny the claims being made about him. Jesus refuses. I tell you, if they keep quiet, the stones will cry out. The truth cannot be suppressed. If human voices fall silent, creation itself will testify. The king has arrived. But as Jerusalem comes into full view, something unexpected happens. Jesus wept. As he approaches Jerusalem and sees the city, he weeps over it. These are not the quiet tears he shed at Lazarus' tomb. The word used suggests loud, heaving sobs. The city that should have welcomed its king will instead reject him. If you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. The days will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment against you, and encircle you, and hem you in on every side. They will dash you to the ground, you and the children within your walls. They will not leave one stone on another, because you did not recognize the time of God's coming to you. Jesus sees what the crowds cannot see. He sees the Roman legions that will surround the city 40 years later. He sees the siege, the starvation, the destruction of the temple. He sees the stones thrown down, the bloodshed, the nation scattered. Jerusalem's rejection of her Messiah will have consequences that ripple through history. The triumphal entry is bittersweet. The crowds shout Hosanna, but within days they will shout Crucify him. The palm branches wave today, but the cross is already being prepared. The king enters his city, but his throne will be a wooden beam on a hill called Golgotha. Jesus enters the temple courts. He looks around at everything. But since it is already late, he goes out to Bethany with the 12. The observation is quiet but significant. Jesus surveys the temple. He sees what is happening there, and he waits. Tomorrow he will return and drive out the money changers. The confrontations will escalate. The religious leaders will plot. The week will unfold with terrible momentum toward betrayal, trial, and execution. But on this day, the king has entered his city. The journey to Jerusalem is complete. This is the turning point. Everything before this moment was preparation. Everything after flows toward the cross. The road that began in Galilee, that wound through Samaria, that passed through Jericho, that climbed the Mount of Olives, has reached its destination. Jesus has set his face toward Jerusalem, and now he stands within its walls. Everything that happens next flows from this moment. The teachings will sharpen. The opposition will harden. The disciples will scatter. The crowds will turn. But first, for one brief afternoon, the stones ring with Hosanna, and the branches wave, and the cloaks carpet the road, and the king rides into his city. This is the moment the prophets foretold. This is the day the journey has been building toward. This is the triumphal entry. And beyond it, the cross waits. Thank you for listening to this final episode of the Life of Jesus, Journey to Jerusalem series. This series covered the decisive journey from Galilee to Jerusalem, the teachings along the way, the miracles, the parables, and the growing cost of following Jesus. If this series was meaningful to you, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with others who might find encouragement in these stories. The journey to Jerusalem is complete. But the story continues. In the next series, we will follow Jesus through his final days in Jerusalem, the Last Supper, the Garden of Gethsemane, the trials, the crucifixion, and the resurrection that changed everything. Until then, may you walk the road with Jesus, trusting that the one who set his face toward Jerusalem did so for you.